All right, good morning from Edinburgh Central Youth Hostel. It is Tuesday the 21st and today is our travel day. We're leaving Edinburgh and going, in theory, we're going to hop a train and go to Stirling and see the castle and maybe have a little gin at a gin tasting experience, and then head on to Pitlochry and end there. I think we're there for about 5 days or so. But I will say that packing with a broken wrist has been a little challenging, and it is done such as it is. Now I just have to put all this stuff on my body and schlep it to the park so the boy can get out, and then the tram and the train. It's a busy day. On time, please wait. So we will be at Stirling by 9:30 and able to dump this luggage and then visit a castle and then a gin tasting and then on to Pitlochry. Here's hoping it works. So I had called ahead probably a month ago and asked Stirling Hostel if they would let me leave luggage so I could enjoy the castle, and they said yes, no problem, and I could just pick it up and continue on to Pitlochry. But there's no one answering, and they were supposed to be open and they're not, and the phone number is going to the central booking, which can't help me at all. I've rung the bell 6 times. My map rerouted me wrong, and I walked uphill quite a ways carrying 50 pounds of luggage, so not in the best mood. And there's no way I'm lugging this any further. I think that Stirling is beautiful, but it looks like it's going to be a bust, and I will lug this to a bus stop and get a bus or a taxi back to the rail and just continue. Sorry, Stirling, it's a loss, but I don't have it in me. And in the end, Stirling Hostel came through. This nice person who was not on call, but she heard the bell because I rang it 8 times, and she said I could leave my luggage, and I just want to show you where left luggage is here, just under the stairs. So I was at the point where I was about ready to just leave my stuff and at the side of the building and go on. But now we will be heading towards the castle and Kirkyard and probably an adult beverage very soon. It's gorgeous. Made it to Stirling Castle. Bit of a hitch. Did finally get the compass calibrated, and the arrow points the right way. Tilt to view works. Only took a week. Was reduced to tears at some point because I had missed a turn and couldn't get my bearings, and the hostel wasn't open, and I really thought this was going to be a complete bust. But we have our Historic Scotland membership. Non-commissioned officers and men. Welcome to Stirling Castle. Busy, but it will get so much worse as the day goes on.
I'd like to start with a tiny little bit of geography before we move on to history. You just might have seen a medieval map of Great Britain, often ridiculed, drawn by an English guy, Matthew Paris, down at St Albans. People like to laugh at his map. The coastline is completely inaccurate, and Scotland in particular looks like 2 great big islands linked by a small bridge here at Stirling. Now, I don't think it's fair to laugh at that map, Because what the cartographer's saying as clearly as he can, by depicting the land both to the east and west of here as if it's the sea, is simply this. If you need to travel safely between the north and south of Scotland, or vice versa, it's a really good idea to use the bridge at Stirling, a very important bridge. The importance of that bridge is emphasised by the Englishman Matthew Paris on his map, by there, believe it or not, being only one bridge on the map. A strategic location we'd call it these days. You tend to get battles round about strategic locations. So I will mention a couple. You probably would want a fortress to protect that strategic location. This is the location of the fortress. So how old is the castle? We like to tell the truth on these tours. The oldest document we've found so far, which absolutely confirms there was a fortress here, is quite old. Goes back to the year 1110. That's the reign of Alexander I here in Scotland, and that's a royal reference to the construction of a chapel in an already existing castle. So that means a couple of things for us. That's over 900 years worth of proven accurate history. I will not cover all of it in the next 55 minutes. Clearly, that would not be possible. It also means this has been a royal residence, a proper castle, the real deal, as you would say in the United States of America. We really will be walking through the footsteps of kings, queens, princes and princesses as we slowly walk through the castle, just explaining a wee bit about it. Some were born here, some died here, and some were crowned here. Now this has been a great place for you guys to meet. You all found it without any difficulty. It's not really the best place to begin the tour explaining what that tower over there is, and more importantly, what it's got to do with this castle, because this obviously is a Stirling Castle tour. So we're just going to pop outside the medieval boundary, we'll get a better view of it, and I'll explain what happened there and why the monument was saved. So I'm just going to go through this way and tell you. That tower is the National Wallace Monument. Commemorates a fairly famous Scottish hero, I'm guessing most of you have heard of, William Wallace. In particular, it commemorates his victory over the English in 1297, the Battle of Stirling Bridge. Now, this morning we've got lots of people from the USA, so I'm kind of guessing some of you might have seen a movie called Braveheart. Fairly famous movie, made an awful lot of money, and yes, it did win an awful lot of awards. Guys, if you've seen that movie, please do bear this in mind. Absolutely none of those numerous awards were for historical accuracy. It was the Battle of Stirling Bridge. There is no bridge in the movie, a fairly glaring error, and I can assure you there are many, many more. Now, the reason the monument's on that hill, it's called the Abbey Craig, is that's where Wallace had his troops garrisoned against the English. Where were the English? They were here. In 1297, this was an English castle under the command of the Earl of Surrey. Now, if you travel from the Wallace Monument into Stirling these days, for most of your journey, the road you're on is actually called Causeway Head Road. Now, that gives you a wee clue as to what the landscape was like all those years ago.
Definitely could have stayed at Stirling Castle longer. If there's only one castle I would ever want to see, it would be Stirling. The tours were amazing. It's busy, they were every 30 minutes. It was movement, information, and you still had an hour or more that you could have gone and looked at the smaller, intimate areas where there were also engaging employees who had accurate information, and it was well laid out, well presented, people in the courtyards to direct you. It was my most positive tourist experience yet, and I wish Edinburgh Castle were like this. Now we're at Stirling Distillery. I had reservations for a 1 o'clock tasting, and that's why I left the castle a little earlier than I had planned, but because I may just do the tasting and then go to a restaurant. So Spirit was a champ. Everyone wanted to touch him. Some guy went off about how much it reminded of his dog, kept taking pictures of Spirit. I was trying to listen to the guide, and then he was showing me pictures of his dog, and I get it, and it's really hard for people, and they miss their pets because they're such a touchstone for them. He's been a champ. I've given him a lot of leeway with not having to correct people. And he hasn't gotten upset about it. When he doesn't want to, he lets me know, and I just ask him to stop. Yeah, sometimes you're really trying to focus. And that's where we were. I missed a turn once again, even though I was following the map. I missed a turn. There was a walking path apparently, but we made it. Onward.
So that's sort of like, if you can see there, that's like the fire exit up the back there.
What was this building used for?
So it's got quite a long history actually. So it was just before here, it was a blacksmith's called the Old Smithy. Before that it was a primary school, a temperance church. It actually used to hold AA meetings, which is Alcoholics Anonymous. Don't know if you've heard of that before. So yeah, it's quite funny that it's now a distillery. So, but way back before, even before it had these walls, it was actually the stables for the castle. So it's a really long history. So the walls are newer, but the actual space itself has been used for centuries.
Right.
Okay. What I'm going to do now is let you taste, and we've got some stories to go along with some of the gins.
Perfect.
Okay, so it's going to be fine. So the first one is Stirling gin, which we talked a little bit about. So what we suggest is taste it neat, see if you like it, and then there's some ice there, and you can put it in your glass, and you can make gin and tonics if you like. Okay, in this big glass here.
I need to get rid of that.
So, I don't want to put any pressure on you, but maybe you could tell us what you think you can taste.
Yeah.
Lemon peel and orange peel might be like that fresh sort of citrus you're tasting. We've got angelica root, obviously juniper, but we've also got basil and nettles in this
think
gin.
it's the
The
nettles.
nettles is
That's the
probably
green.
Yes, that's the green. So we just hand forage around here, like when it's season.
I've seen
for-
pictures of how he started.
Yeah,
foraging
hand
it,
foraging them. It's just something that kind of ties Stirling to the gin, because obviously like lemon peel, orange peel, basil, they're not really Stirling as such, so hand foraged nettles from Stirling just makes it the cherry on top. So this is basically our flagship. What we would say is gin and tonic. We choose Mediterranean tonic because we think it's sweeter to go with sort of our more savoury gin. So the next three gins actually have some folklore tales behind them. This is Stirling Pink Gin. Rose in here, we have pink grapefruit for the citrus, and then we have pink peppercorn, so a little spice in there. So this was originally called Pink Lady Gin, but we had to change it because Pink Lady Apple said, you can't use our name. Like I said, there was a folklore tale behind this. So if you look on the back, you can see a little pink lady ghost. So the story goes that up in the castle, I don't know if anyone's been up there.
Oh my
You
gosh,
have.
yes.
Did you hear anyone crying in the graveyard area? No. So what is said to happen is Pink Lady Ghost cries in the graveyard because she was with a knight who went out to battle and who died in battle. And she was so upset that he died, she went to her bed and never woke up. And it's said that she goes around the graveyard and she cries for her love. Next we have Red Cap. So remember how I spoke a little bit about we have gin and we have gin liqueur, and it's all to do with like different percentage of alcohol. So this is the first gin liqueur that you'll try today. So Red Cap, it's maybe kind of obvious what might be in there. This is raspberry liqueur. So this is, we use Scottish raspberries in here. So what happens is it depends how much water is in the berry. So when we distill it, that's kind of what makes the percentage. So this one is 25, but it can range from anywhere between 21 and 29, just depending on how much water is in the berry when we obviously distill it with the gin. So the story behind the Red Cap is, I don't know if you can see this little guy, he's a little goblin-y type man. So what is said that if you're ever walking in the Highlands, you might feel like you get stones thrown at you. So what they do is they hide and they throw stones at you and they wait for you to stop and be like, who keeps throwing stones at me? But the worst thing you can do is stop, because that's what they want you to do, because they want to kill you. But what you can do is you can recite a Bible verse to them. So that's what's said to stop them, because back in the day people would carry a Bible with them, so if you recited the verse, then they would stop. But obviously now not a lot of people carry a Bible with them. So I don't know what you're going to do if you're out walking up there and you see one. I would run, because that's why they have a little red cap, because it's blood from their victims. They soak up with. So they're lovely, aren't they? So next is another liqueur. This is mint, but the colour comes from what we would call brambles. Younger, I would go with my parents and we would just eat them off the thing. Do you know what I mean? That was fun as a child to do. That is another one of our liqueurs. The last one that's got a spooky story. So it's called the Green Lady. Obviously that's the mint in there, that's why we've teamed it with this one. But the Green Lady is another ghost up at the castle. So the Green Lady was actually one of the ladies in waiting for Mary Queen of Scots. So one night she had a premonition that something bad was going to happen to the Queen, and she thought, I need to protect her. So she said, I'll sit beside her bed all night, I won't go to sleep, and I'll make sure that nothing comes and harms her, nobody will come and take her or anything like that. So as she was sitting there with her candle, she fell asleep. So she wore these lovely green robes, and as she dropped the candle, her robes went on fire. The bedroom went on fire, but as her last act, she managed to get the Queen out, and the Queen was safe. Unfortunately, the Green Lady passed away. So again, up at the castle, you can sometimes see her roaming about. She, like I said, Green Lady, green robes. You can sometimes see her robes. Next on we have is Stirling gin, but it's battle strength. It is our Stirling gin, but we've just put less water in it, so it's more alcoholic. So I don't know if you've ever heard of Navy strength gin.
Oh, yeah.
You have? So so in the Navy back in the day, people would get paid half in alcohol and half in money. So,
interesting.
but what would happen is people would spill their alcohol and things like that. If you're on a boat or in choppy seas, things like that. And then they would spill it on gunpowder, and the gunpowder wouldn't light. And they said, we need something that's going to still light. We still want to give them alcohol. So 57% gin. But Stirling, we're not near to the coast. We don't have a navy, but we did have battles. So we went for 55%, and we've called it battle strength. So it's kind of like an homage to Stirling, and still kind of offering that. We would say it's kind of like a whiskey drinker's gin. Okay. Because whiskey is obviously quite strong, you drink it neat. So yeah, this is kind of our one there. What did you think of that one?
It is battle strength.
It's a battle.
You've been hit.
You've been hit and you're ready to go out to battle. So, this is our last gin liqueur, but not our last gin. So this is called Tropical Triumph. So this is, I think you can see,
Yes.
I don't even need to make you guess what's in there. So we have pineapple, mango, passion fruit, things like that.
Welcome to Made in Stirling store. The problem is I am traveling in one bag. It tends to be prints and tiny things. Oh, I really cannot manage to pack much more for several more times. Let's see if these things can go. Look. Oh, if I had the room in my luggage right now. Prints are small and pack. And if you just want to buy this, let me give you their information. Shite at throwing this with a broken wrist. Can't hold the camera reliably either with it. Okay, buddy, you deserve better. Here we go. Do you like Stirling Youth Hostel? We do. They were the best. Once they finally opened the door, it was the best. The weather continues to be uncharacteristically Scottish and absolutely amazing. I highly recommend the middle of May. This is Stirling. It's a day trip on the way to Pitlochry, and I am starving, and many restaurants here have what European countries do, a break between lunch and dinner service. But I pushed my day to shove in more in the morning and have a break, and now I need food. So I've ended up at number 2 Baker Street, and they inform me they aren't dog friendly, which is really unusual, but I didn't bemoan the point because I wanted to sit outside to enjoy this weather. And I feel like I want to be crazily Scottish, and this is not really a Scottish pub. So maybe I should have gone across the street, but it's about who's open. It's really about who's open right now. And I just am gonna take a pass on Wetherspoons because it feels like McDonald's, or a step up from McDonald's. I don't know. Maybe I'll fall in love with it later, but here we are. Pub classics. And here's the boy. We tried to go to Brewdog, which we were told is fabulous, but they aren't open until 4. I am outside, and I really want every second of this I possibly can. Because you never know when it's going to change. To Pitlochry Youth Hostel, room 14. No table and chairs, but ooh, it is hot in here. Is there an exhaust vent in here? It feels a little stuffy in here. It's been a long day, and lugging this 50 pounds, well, this is 27, and that is the other half. It's a workout.